Welcome. Now we're going to take a look at invoicing a production job in our PrintVis Business Central system. Invoicing a PrintVis production job is a little bit different than standard invoicing. To invoice a case in our system, we go to Case Management and we select the case that we'd like to invoice. You can invoice depending on the setup of your status codes, you can invoice a case at any point during the production line, at any point after it's been converted from a quote to an order, depending on the setup of your status codes. This comes in handy if you need to do a pre-invoice or a partial invoice for a customer, or if they do a prepayment and you need to do a prepayment invoice so that you can apply that prepayment to their account. In order to invoice, we'll select our case. And under the case card, we'll select Invoicing Guide. The Invoicing Guide tells the system how to create the invoice. If we had already invoiced or done a pre-invoice at this point, a document would appear here. From this field, we also have the ability to create a new credit memo in the case that there's an issue on a job where we have to issue a credit back to our customer for an invoice. We can open any invoices, and we can actually create a combined invoice so that we can combine any invoices into any unposted invoices into one invoice. To create a new invoice, we will click on New Invoice. And this brings up another screen with some information in it. The information contained in this screen are the customer name and the contact. That could be the billing contact or the default contact for the customer. If you need to change it to their billing contact, such as an accounting department, you can do so at this point in time. The posting date, the date that you're doing the work, which is generally set to the day's date. The due date, which is based on the customer due date in this customer setup. So if they're set to 14 days, it would be 14 days from the posting date. In this case, they're set to 30 days payment, so it's 30 days from the posting date. The pricing method, whether we're pricing per quote in accordance with the consumption or we're entering a manual price. Generally, you won't be changing that. The order number, which is the order number that we are invoicing. So you will not generally change this field. The invoice template code. The invoice template code can be set on a per customer basis, and you can create, as we've discussed in a previous video, invoice templates for each of your customers. Or you can select an invoice template based on any number of things, such as the FSC requirements or a standard template. You do have the ability to set a default template code so that it automatically defaults to that code. In this case, we have two in our system. One is the standard template, and then the other is our non-tax, which we set up in a previous video. I'm going to hit standard, and it has manual invoice template code checked automatically because I selected that invoice. If my system was set up with a default, it would have already had the standard default template code in there. At this point, you'll notice that there are no lines in our section. There's also no information down here in the invoice details. To populate that, I go to Process and Build. If my template had been set to auto build the invoice, it automatically would have populated that and pulled in the lines automatically when I selected that invoice template. So I can build my invoice. And you'll notice that the system reached out, it pulled in the PrintVis order number and the job name. It brought in my GL account, the price per agreement, the quantity, as well as the unit price. So this is the quoted price of $486.61, the area code where it shipped, and then the tax group code for that customer. It also brought in any of the additional lines that were in my template. In this case, there were 3 blank lines and then a line at the bottom that says, "We thank you for your business." If I want to view that template, I can select it. If I select from the full list, I can view those templates. And I can edit that template here. So I can see there's the line where it brought in my the job description, and then there's the line where it brought in the line with the price. There's the 3 blank lines, and then the line at the bottom that says, "We thank you for your business." It also brought in down here at the bottom, it brought in my subtotal. Any invoice discounts that are on the customer line would be brought in, and if they were being charged tax, the tax would calculate there as well. I can set the currency code, otherwise it will default to the system default, the shipment date if there was a tax posting group. The payment terms I can change as well. So if I want to change it to 14 days or 1 month, I can change that at this point, but that's going to pull in based on the customer information. And if my customer has, the information here is all pulled in from the customer card. So if you have a payment method set up for your customer, that would appear here automatically filled in as well. And then the shipping and billing information. This shows the information where it shipped to. If I had shipping information in my system, it would populate how it had shipped, as well as the tracking number, which I could populate on my invoice if needed. And then the bill to information. Once this information has been populated in the system, I have the ability, I can preview the posting, and I can see the entries that it will make into my system in case I'd like to verify the number of entries that it makes in the system. I have the ability to view a draft invoice so that I can see the invoice that will be generated and sent to my customer. Now this layout is currently different than my default layout because I have not updated my draft invoice template, which we will talk about editing this layout at a later video. I can view a pro forma invoice. I can test it so that I can find any errors in it before I post it, so that I can take a look at it. And again, this document is different than my final invoice as well, because that template hasn't been set up in my system either. But once I'm satisfied with it, I can simply hit post and send, and it will post this invoice, and it's going to create that email as an attachment. So I'll hit OK, and I'll hit yes. And it's going to post those lines and create that invoice. And so it opens up that email information. I won't click OK because my system hasn't been set up to send emails out. However, I can view this document by clicking on the three dots, and I can view my sales invoice. So here we can see my edited sales invoice layout. And we can see that it brought in the collars for Mark, the price per agreement, my customer number, along with the PO number and date of the purchase, and our order number, how it shipped, and then any other information for that we had in the system, as well as thank you for your business. And once that's completed, it's now a posted invoice, and it shows in my posted invoice list. So if I go on the case, you'll now notice that the case is archived. Depending on how your system is set as well, once the job has been invoiced, it may automatically go to an archived status, meaning that nothing else can be done on the job. If you are doing prepayments or pre-invoicing, there are ways to edit that and alter it. And in that case, you should reach out to your PrintVis partner for information. To view the posted invoice, all I have to do is go to posted documents and posted sales invoices. And there's my posted invoice that we just did. At this point, I can view what was posted. I can also print and send from here. If you have any questions about invoicing in PrintVis Business Central, please reach out to your PrintVis partner.